logging every time they're in the innovation lab, or only when they're working with the mentor?
The logging to me is, again, thought. So it's a reflection. So it's whenever they want to do it. You know, if they're old like me and they think they're going to forget it, then they should do it right on the spot. But if they, you know, they're in the thick of something, it's not like calculated, I've got to stop now and write this down, or I have to be in someone's presence to be able to do this. So it's just whenever, and not even that they have to do it every Friday. It's kind of like Gus, that he's the most creative in the middle of the night with his music, you know. So we're trying to facilitate, instead of, you know, 7 hours a day, this specific time you're going to be doing math, or this specific time you're going to be doing this. A more natural, holistic process of learning.
So they log it into the computer? Yeah.
And they can do it by hand if they want. But I think most kids are fine with, in the computer, we've got a form that is just set up that way. And we would encourage any of you guys to do it as well. We actually have a site, a standalone site for anybody that wants to try this out. And the site actually walks through the NoticeStream Connect Do More. We have it really free form for the kids because we don't want them to have a bunch of restrictions or feel like they have to go through a whole process each time. Some of the kids are going to have a hard time because they're already self-directed. You know, so it is harder if the more self-directed you are, the harder it is to, you know, like you're driving a car with a clutch, it's harder to explain to your 15-year-old what you're doing each moment, you know, because it's just natural. So.
Other questions?
Do I understand that part of the reason is to see the progression over a period of time and then get that as a gauge for a school system that says, yes, this works, and we can use this for students who learn this way, and it's a reflection of learning instead of A, B, C, D, F.
Correct.
Is that true?
Correct.
We're trying to document personalized learning so that we can scale it out and have other people have the opportunity. We're trying to validate it in a public school system.
Is there any other innovation lab in Colorado?
There's innovation everywhere. We don't know of very many that are doing it along with research that the kids are actually doing. So we feel like we're really on the edge. And the kids have spoken at global seminars and are being exposed to that. And there's a lot of this going on. A lot of the research and what we're coming up with has come from that. We're not trying to push an innovation lab, although we think every town should have one. But we think it might be a small percentage because it's a different, you know, kind of student, perhaps. Ideally, we would like everyone to be there. But what we're trying to push is choice, and that everyone should have their choice of how they learn best. And so we're trying to model a way to measure that. If we do the focus on the learning and we have a means to monitor growth in this process of learning, then everybody can pick what they want to learn and how they want to learn it.
Other questions? Great feedback. Yeah. You know, I think that it's an interesting time, right? I mean, we have a lot of shift and change going on. So the jobs are, you no longer have jobs that are rote, you know, that just take standardized answers. We need to find environments that encourage people to think creatively. We all know this, solve complex problems, right? The interesting thing to me is that there's also, you know, the digital media that changed the world, right? That allowed a lot of things to be outsourced and is allowing things to be automated and change the kind of jobs that are there for our kids. Also provide an opportunity, and the opportunity is to do things like this. The opportunity is to allow us to collect large amounts of data, to get rich streams of data from people like students, and to analyze that data through different means, whether it's digital video or it's a website, you know, where people are logging stuff. That data can come to an analyst, a researcher, who can try to understand what's going on in that rich data stream. We can do that, and the rich data stream is really, it allows us to analyze this entire system of learning, right? This entire ecosystem of learning that's transpiring here, instead of just trying to isolate specific skills and make sure that we create a standard and make sure that the student understands that one skill. So this learning in action, which really is the innovation lab, right? And how to analyze that learning in action. The digital technology that's changed the world is also changing, I think, the way we can look at assessment and look at growth. We can just do a lot more with all this data. As a researcher, I couldn't have done it 5 years ago. Right, taking all this data into even getting it in, if I had a supercomputer maybe, but take all this data into a central location and then analyze it into something like this. It's very complex. It's very complex work behind the scenes with all the algorithms and things that go into this type of program.
And we think the only skill that our kids, because we both have kids, and so we talk a lot about what do you want most for your kids, and we think the only thing, we want them to know what to do when they don't know what to do. And that sounds funny, but it used to be we could say we want them to know this much math so they could go to college, but now you can pick your own success. And so do you know how to, so say you have a music passion right now. What if something happens and you change your passion? Well, the safety net is, do you know what to do when you don't know what to do? If you change your passion, do you know the steps of learning something new? And you can learn anything you want now via the web. So just can you make the right connections to do that?
So other questions for me?